Hello, North Enders. It is the North End Reviews and Previews show. We have been a bit of a hiatus. We want to apologize. Lots of things going on in our North End world. Not everybody's available like we were during the pandemic, and everybody's got back to work lives again. I'm blessed here with Luke, though, who we haven't seen a heck of a lot of. So me and Luke are going to do our Reviews and Previews show and talk about some specifics. But how are you, sir? How's Alabama treating you?
It's starting to get humid. They were not fucking around when they said it.
It's hot down there.
I was asking somebody the other day. I was like, "Oh, how, like this is okay. This is quite nice." And they're like, "Oh yeah, man, this is nothing, man. Like another 40-50% of the lease, man. You gonna die." And I was like, "Okay, good to know." Good to know.
See, you're not too far from where I grew up. I lived in Atlanta, which is next door.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm gonna venture over for a trip one of the weeks, I'm sure. So
yeah, it's worth it. It's a little bit more civilized probably than Alabama is, but
oh come on, man! They say "ma'am" and "sir" here.
Very very civilized. That's true. How's your consumption of football going? Have you been able to get as much in as you normally would when you'd be back?
Do you know the last year, man? For a guy who's on a football podcast, it's not been as good as I would have liked, but I have managed to watch a number of games the last couple of weeks, which has been good. Managed to even get some. I actually have only watched the last couple of Champions League games. I've seen none of it otherwise. And what a tournament that's been. But
it's incredible, isn't it?
It's been amazing. So yeah, really interesting times. Villa finally get a win. Thank God, so needed.
Some struggling going on from your side there. Stevie G not getting it done properly. Something strange. This is from Paul, worst Southern accent ever. I'll give you a little bit of credit. I thought you were not as bad.
I thought it was all right.
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I think Paul's being harsh, but then he's always harsh because
that's Paul being Paul. It's what he does.
Classic.
Right?
Classic,
exactly. Well, let's get into some scores then. We're gonna pop through this pretty quick because this is last weekend. Yeah. It's Friday before the weekend. Obviously, most people have had this chat, so we'll just go over these numbers pretty quick. We got some new graphics that Paul made, so thanks, Paul, for the graphics. Fancy stuff. We got some overlays happening. Quickly on the Saturday, Liverpool beat Newcastle 1-0. Pretty tight game for Liverpool. Newcastle been playing really well under new management.
As much it pains me,
new money.
They have.
Yeah, you must hate that, eh?
Oh, I can't stand them. I hate them so much. But I think, Brian, I think we'd admit this really shows why Liverpool are just such an incredible team because, Keita gets the goal with Jota with the assist. It's like even when their top guys aren't performing or can't, there's someone else with the goal. Milner with a cheeky goal.
That squad is absurd, man.
It's incredible, man. It's absolutely incredible. And it's just, fair play to them. And, it's still on, isn't it? The quad is still on, which is
quad is on. I mean, we saw.
Has anyone ever done a quad before?
Never. It'd be the first team to do it in history. It's never. I don't think a team's ever been this close. I think Jurgen Klopp was the only manager to ever be in multiple finals, guaranteed multiple finals, and of course then there's the league. So 3 of them in total, 3 finals plus the league, potentially the league. Of course, they've got to rely on some other results to get there in the end to get that quadruple. Not being
do you know who City have in the last weekend? City have Villa, and it's the North American meetup. So you better be there.
I'll go for that for sure, man. Yeah,
I'll be over. I'll be back.
Oh, you'll be back here? Yeah, nice. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, so we'll speaking of Villa, Villa get their first win in a while, 2-0 against a pretty shitty Norwich team. But hey, a win's a win. You felt pretty good about that, I'm guessing.
I did. Yeah, I did. And it was Ings and Watkins combining, which was great to see because obviously not worked all season. Still wasn't fantastic. He dropped Konza, which is something that probably needed to happen. He's been on a horrendous run of form.
Yeah.
And young Tim, let me see if I can get his name. Irog Bunam or something. He's a young 18-year-old in England under 21s. Like he's real talented. Had started, played fantastic. Nice. Yeah, it was a good win. But we had to, man. If we'd lost to Norwich, and it was tough because I think we guaranteed their relegation in this game. I think that was
you did. Yeah.
And Dean Smith. But it was nice at the end of the game. He had a huge round of applause from the whole stadium. Like Villa fans, obviously, so appreciative to what Dean has done for us as a club. So yeah.
Funny that you guys were the ones who knocked him down after him going to Norwich.
Always
little
awkward.
funny circumstance there. Yeah. Speaking of awkward, Crystal Palace 2-1 over Southampton. A couple of teams that nobody cares about. We're going to move on from that. Speaking of another couple of teams we don't care about,
it's that'll be over the move.
Burnley beat Watford 2-1. This was a big win for Burnley though in the relegation battle, which we're going to get into a little bit into some details. Lots to discuss there. Just to let everybody know, on this show we're going to do relegation, we're going to do the Spurs Liverpool game and what that is going to mean for both the title and for that top 4 position, and we're going to discuss relegation as well. Once we get through sort of the reviews and preview section, which will be pretty quick. On to the next one. Brighton Hove Albion 3-0 over Wolves. Wolves have fallen off a cliff,
man. They are
pretty
struggling.
crazy.
And I knew we were going to come on to that, so I just had a quick look. So just to talk us through, Brighton 3-0 loss. They lost to Burnley the week before 1-0. Newcastle before that 1-0. Beat goals. Villa and then lost to Leeds. So since the 18th of March, they've beaten Villa and lost to Leeds, Newcastle, Burnley, and Brighton. Like
what has happened to a team that was arguably battling for that, 4th position,
top 6, top 8, top 6 at least.
They were in the conversation for 4th mid season, but you never, it's too hard to tell at that point. But man, they are brutal, and not scoring any goals. It's really, really bad.
It's real bad.
Yeah,
it's real bad.
Lucky that they got points early in the season. Next game is Man City Leeds 4-0 Man City. Man City doing Man City things here. I don't think anybody was surprised by this. Leeds is an open team, even under the new management. They're still easy to get at. Comfortable for Man City.
100%.
Yeah. This was a shocker, though. Lampard going up against his old club as manager and as a player. Everton 1-0 over Chelsea. Big win for Everton. We've been talking about, JP and I in particular, talking about Everton going down. This game might have saved them. I think this win might have kept them up. And, of course, some of the results from some of the other teams who've been piss poor might save them as well.
This is the unpredictability of the league. But, out of nowhere, I think we talked about Burnley. I was like, oh, and then JP and you be like, oh, no, Everton. We've all just missed on the boat on Leeds. Mate, Leeds
they're in that. They're in trouble, and they got
Burnley.
They got Arsenal this weekend, which is going to be an interesting one because they're now fighting for their lives in that relegation position. Of course,
their next 2 games are Arsenal and Chelsea.
Yeah,
and off the back of that, and then finishing the seasons with Brighton and Brentford, like not easy games by any means, and. Yeah, I know we should get on to that, touch on that more later on. But yeah, this was a big win and a must-needed win.
It's a huge win for Everton and Lampard. And the thing about Everton is despite their poor form, and they had a lot of away matches in a period of time, they're away from home, they're terrible. But at home, they're quite good. And they've gotten some scalps at home, and they've gotten some results at home that were unexpected. And this one obviously being massive. Quickly on Chelsea, though, Chelsea have shit the bed lately as well. They've been very poor for a while now, and not scoring goals. Now, if you watch this game, you'll understand that they were the much better team, and Pickford saved Everton's ass on a couple of occasions with some big saves. And Chelsea should have probably won this game with the run of play, but they still are. Chelsea haven't been able to put wins together in a row. And they're now in the conversation of not necessarily guaranteed top 4 spot. Arsenal 3 points behind, Spurs 5 points behind them. If Arsenal and Spurs go on a minor run and Chelsea keep up their form, they could end up in 5th. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're too good for that to happen, but you never know. They come up against a desperate Leeds team. They just lost to Everton. It could happen, but interesting.
Honestly, man, I think there's a lot of problems all of a sudden. They look good at the back, but they're gonna lose Rudiger on a free now.
There's a few players that are going,
and there's a couple of and I know this isn't definitely the time, but I don't think any time is not the time for this. Lukaku, what an absolute disaster of a player when it comes to
shit. I was giving him credit.
Get brought on in this game.
Yeah, it's so bad. I honestly thought he was gonna, like I said at the beginning of our normal show that we do where we do the predictions, that he would put Chelsea, him coming in would give Chelsea a chance to win the league. Man, was I wrong.
100%. I think we were saying top goal scorer. I think we were like, if Kane does lose it or if Salah loses it, I reckon based on how his form has been, and they'll build the team around him. And the guy can't get touches. He played a game, was it 2 weeks ago? And in 48 minutes, in the first 45 minutes, I think he recorded 2 touches of the ball in 45 minutes.
It's absurd.
Like, he's not he doesn't put enough energy into the game, and the Premier League is too quick for him. And I think, like, mark my words, there is no way he'll be there at the end of the
Oh,
summer.
100%.
There's just no way.
He's gone for sure.
He's gone. And they're going to lose a fortune on him as well.
It'll be an interesting, massive amount of money.
40 or 50 million if they're lucky.
It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Chelsea. Obviously, there's a chance that they might not even be able to be in the Premier League. I watched a really good report on this from a source who's in the know of like how the situation's working. Like, there's a 5% chance, which is actually pretty high, of them not being able to be in the Premier League based on their status. So I get into the details of it. It's about the ownership model that's current that they're trying to figure out. It is a complete mess. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Chelsea. On to Spurs beat Leicester 3-1. Leicester scored a goal in the 92nd minute to give themselves something. Couple of tale of two halves scenario. Spurs very poor in the first half. Lucas Moore started the game, was crap. Dejan Kulusevski comes on, changes the game completely, and Spurs go on to dominate the game pretty comfortably in the end. Big win though.
Why was he benched in the first place?
Well, he had 2 games in a row where he was not effective, but I don't think it was personally. I don't think it was his fault. I think it was you should arguably blame just the rest of the team. Like, the team wasn't playing really well, and he was kind of in the middle of that. But he came on, and man, he was incredible. And of course, Christian Romero, he is going to be the best defender in the league. He's unbelievable to watch. He's Rolls Royce of a player.
I was just about to ask you, any worries about keeping hold of him?
There will be eventually. I mean, he's young too, so he's just immense. Like the double slide tackle he did, the timing of it, and then passed it, and we went on to score.
He just reads the game, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sees everything in front of him before anybody else does. It's incredible to watch, and I'm buzzing with him. We'll have him while we have Conte. So if we keep Conte, we keep him, and that is sort of. I guess that's the case with all the big players at the moment at Spurs. So
is there any worry for you there? I know obviously people, I think Tottenham are one of the teams that get thrown into all kinds of nonsense talk, but is there any worry from your side that maybe Conte is going to go?
I'm not worried.
You don't back him enough?
He has come out specifically on a number of occasions, said all that stuff is nonsense. He's like, I'm excited to do what he said specifically in a quote, I could be Spurs' Klopp. And like for him to say that, but he also said, I need to be backed for that to happen. So if the club backs him properly, and he, maybe, there's an opportunity for that type of dynasty with a manager like that, would put Spurs in a scenario where we could actually not be the laughing stock who've not won trophies since 2008, and only the one we get the piss taken out of it. Speaking about not winning trophies, Arsenal beat West Ham 2-1. West Ham get knocked out of the Europa League yesterday. So that was where that segue.
Yeah, they've had a rough time, haven't they? They've had a rough time. And Rangers through to the final.
Yeah, Rangers crazy final.
This is a team that was financially done a couple of years ago. Remember, administration, fallout, the Scottish Premier League.
CBG went in there and sorted them out, and now they're playing pretty good football. They still have his style on them, the way they play. A lot more attacking, a lot more football, like thoughtful football, and good to see from Rangers. But Arsenal this is a huge win for them. I don't think they deserved it. I don't think either team played very well in this game. It was a pretty shit game. But I mean, you get your points when you need them, and it was a huge 3 points for Arsenal. Unfortunately, for Spurs, that sucked. Monday's game, Manchester United 3-0 over Brentford. Man United respond to a very poor run of results and just not good football for some time against the B side, who I think everybody thought maybe we would see them compete in this game, but it looked like Man United came out to play and made it pretty comfortable.
It could have been more. Like they dominated this game from start to finish, and it was, I think for United fans, it was nice to see, wasn't it? And just, it's amazing, isn't it? You think, I saw a stat the other day talking about players at 37, where they were and like, easing out or retired or coaching, and then Ronaldo having a bad season. Like he's unreal, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, it's ridiculous, unreal. Isn't it? Yeah, ridiculous. But I mean, kind of a nothing game, I guess, for Man United. It keeps them in the conversation with 4 games to play. If the right run of results goes, they could still finish in that 4th place. But it
doesn't realistically.
Yeah, I mean, you can't see Spurs or Arsenal dropping enough points for Man U to get back into that conversation. It could happen. They would both have to probably lose all their games, and Man United win all their games. And based on what we've seen as of late, that isn't going to happen. So
that ain't happening.
So that's week 35, folks. Thanks just for listening to to sort of update that was not timely when it comes to recent. Let's get into the weekend here. We're a little behind. Saturday, May 7th. This is tomorrow, 10 a.m. We've got a lot of fixtures. 4 games at 10 a.m. We got a 12:30 game, and then we got the Liverpool Spurs game, which we're going to highlight when we get to that point. Before we'll do all of Saturday, all of Sunday, and then we'll save the Liverpool Spurs game at the end, and we'll do a little bit of chat on that and specifically what it means for both the title race and the top 4. But we got Brentford versus Southampton at 10 o'clock, kind of a nothing game.
Yeah. I think expect Southampton to probably bounce back in this. They need it more than Brentford. Well, actually, no, that both tied 40 points.
Like it's they're both safe, right?
They're both good. I think Southampton will probably, after a disappointing week last week, I think they'll bounce back. But then Brentford getting hammered, it could go anywhere. I've literally spoken for 30 seconds.
I know you said nothing.
I've just realized I'm gonna go Southampton with a win in this. I think James Ward-Prowse will do something.
I'm going Christian Eriksen's gonna school him, and I'm gonna go for Bees winning this one. We got Burnley up against your Villa at 10 a.m. as well. Burnley playing for a lot, Villa playing for maybe a little bit of self-respect.
It's just respect at this stage,
just based on the performances. Burnley need this win. If Burnley can go on and win this game, I mean, Burnley doing a Burnley. I was shocked when Sean Dyche got the sack. I thought he was the one who would potentially be able to get him out of this. Turns out I was wrong. They've been very good since he's left, and
they've been great.
Sometimes just the shift and slight shift in mentality can get teams to play a little bit better and recognize that, we just got our manager sacked. Let's try to at least make it up to him by staying up. So
I think they've just brought in some good players. Weghorst, who they brought in the January window, he's everything you want from him. 6'6", 6'7" monster. Yeah. He wins everything in the air. And then Vidra playing up front with him was great. You've got the young lad who plays in the midfield. His name will come back to me. It'll come back to me. Oh, but Cornet. He's been fantastic and wasn't even available this against Watford. So I think they're doing enough. I can't believe it, but it's a scary thought. I think Leeds could be in big trouble.
I think they could too, but backs against the wall. Any team with the back against the wall, chance that could shift very quickly, right? Burnley lose this game and Leeds somehow get a result against Arsenal, then boom, you could go, Burnley's back in that. So just with 4 games in the amount of points that are available and how close they are, that shift is going to be crazy. Sure. So
it's just Arsenal and Chelsea the next 2 games for them. So I'm
difficult, very difficult games. Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Chelsea against Wolves at 10 a.m. as well. Wolves been shit. I think Chelsea win comfortably, but comfortably 1-0. Because they're not scoring much either. But Wolves can't.
I think they'll get 2. I think it'll be 2 or 3. I think you'll see. You'll see certain people turn up. I think Havertz will probably grab a goal here, and I'd say you'll see Mount with some, an assist. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Reece James get himself back into kind of that
form he was in at the beginning of the season was incredible. He's a great right back. England have a difficult choice to make between him and Trent. The right back. England's right back position. You got Kyle Walker in that conversation as well. It's an absurd riches in.
I think
it
has to be Trent. I don't think there's a conversation with Liverpool dominating the league, and I think Trent is the second highest assist in the. He's
got 12 assists this season. Yeah,
he's unbelievable, man. He's picked up goals as well, and he is a decent defender. There's a lot of chat about.
That always comes up. It's a trope. It's like if he's not as good at the back as he is going forward, then it doesn't look. He's not.
Right. Do you know who brought that up?
Ridiculous.
Do you know who starts that? It's fucking United fans trying to defend Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
It's Paul and Connie.
But if you need a defender, it's like I would rather have a blind grandmother than Wan-Bissaka. It's not even comparable. So
agreed. I 100%. Another nothing game. We've got Watford Palace. Watford going down likely. This I think is the game mathematically speaking. If they lose, they go down. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe that's the case.
So I think, do we take a bet? I'd say Watford to score first. And how long after Watford score before we get a text from Stan. Oh, fucking hell, mate. We're fucking shit. I told you. We're fucking shit. We should have got rid of Roy. He's great. Love Stan. Love Stan.
It's officially, he's great. Yeah. Officially, Roy Hodgson will not be managing in the Premier League next year. He's come out and made a statement about it. So, you'll be getting, Stan, you'll be getting a new manager. Who knows who it'll be, but you'll be getting a new manager.
Well, they've already got a new manager. You're getting confused. They've got Vieira at the moment. Right?
Oh, who am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Watford, I think. Is Roy?
I'm gonna have a brain fart. Yeah, you're right. It is.
Yeah. But it's more just the long-standing hostility towards Roy Hodgson.
So much sacking of managers going on this season as well. But I am thinking of Watford. You're correct. And he used to manage Palace too, didn't he? Whatever.
He did, Brian. And 1+1 is 2.
I know,
Brian.
Speaking of 1+1, let's move on to the next game. We've got Brighton at Man United. Lost my shit there.
Take a second, Brian. Take a second.
Nothing in this game either. Brighton mid-table, playing average. Man United not very good on the road. Yeah, nothing to really talk about there. It should be comfortable for Man United, but nothing is.
Yeah.
Nothing is. All right, so there's 2:45 game we're going to move on to at the end when we get through the rest of the games. This is a big one. This Arsenal Leeds game, 9 a.m. on Sunday. Arsenal, obviously with the top 4 race, which we're gonna get into a little bit as well. Massive game for Arsenal, massive game for Leeds, who we just talked about going down potentially. So I don't know. I could see Leeds getting a result here. A result meaning not a win, but I could see a really ugly draw somehow, finding a 1-1 result or something like that. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it could be an ugly game, but I think Arsenal are back to winning ways. I think last week was a really good win for them. You know, that's what
beating Chelsea was huge.
It was massive. You know, the other week, and I think I know you're gonna hate it. I really quite enjoy this Arsenal team. The reason I enjoy them is because A, they're young, and B, I actually love to see when a manager turns things around. And I think Arteta, and I think even just as a purist, you'd say, yeah, he got apps. He was being hounded. They're like, he's there. Now they want him on 4-year, 5-year contracts.
But he just signed a new deal a couple of days ago. So he's on to 2026. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think Arsenal, I mean, they're not fighting for top 4 for no reason. They've got the manager's doing a good job. They have a good young side who can continue to play a lot of games. And, I'm going to give them credit where it's due. I hate it because, of course, the most hated rival, but I'm going to give them credit for what they've done. They haven't played very well lately, though, to be honest. Like we talked about the game against West Ham earlier, they weren't very good in that game. They haven't been very good the last 2 games. They were good against a Chelsea side who is floundering at the moment as well. So
they weren't good against us when they played us. Yeah,
they're getting the job done, which is kind of the sign of a team, even when they're struggling, managing to get results is what you want.
Half the battle, though, isn't it? You know,
it is 100%.
Scraped a 1-0 win this week.
Whatever you can get points in the Premier League, it's a positive thing. Next game up, we've got Leicester versus Everton. This is huge for Everton. Going to be difficult. It's at the King Power. Not an easy place to go. Leicester form has been better, other than. You know, they rested a bunch of players against Spurs.
Well, Jamie's back, isn't he? You know, Jamie's back, but they just lost in the Europa. Is it the Conference? I can't even keep up with.
It's the Conference League. Yeah, Conference League. They lost in the Conference League. That's what they were saving players for when they played Spurs. Didn't work. But their form has been better in the league. I still think I could see Everton getting a result here based on what they just did against Chelsea. I think you're going to see. Unfortunately, it's on the road for them. So. You know, I'm not 100% convinced on it, but for Leicester, they don't really care too much about the league at this point, and they're just going to finish mid-table.
Well, I yes and no. I actually would disagree because I think the last couple of games of the season could make or break Brendan Rodgers staying at the club. I don't think so.
I don't think this season that's the case. I think if they were in an Everton conversation where they were like closer to relegation, I think that might be problematic. I think with the injuries that they had at the beginning of the season, which were massive, they had like 4 or 5 of their best players injured for a long period, and they struggled and they lost a lot of points because of it. I don't think Rodgers is in that situation. If that wasn't the case, if they were in this position and they were fit all year, then it would be like, hey, the manager fucked up here. We need to start looking at somebody else. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think he's pretty safe.
I think they brought in a lot of players, and they yeah, I know they've had injuries, but I think people are starting. The tide is turning for Brendan Rodgers. I think as it did with Liverpool. Like, I don't know how much longer he's left, and if he gets through the summer, he's going to need investment. And do they feel that he's the manager for them? JP's reckons he'll stay through the summer.
Yeah, I think so
I
too.
don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, because the thing is, if you're going to keep him, that means you're backing him. That means you have to financially back him. And have they done enough to say in the last 2 seasons have been fantastic for them? Are they where they should be as from what they've been the last couple of years? I would say no. And look at them in the league. Where are they now? They're 11th in the league. They're below Newcastle.
Yeah, they've dropped considerably. I mean, they were battling for that 4th spot last season and dropped, pretty aggressively in the last.
But he has a bad habit of doing this. You see, Brendan Rodgers, unfortunately, as great of a manager as I think he is, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he's done over the years. I think this is where he does stumble on that finishing block. And Leicester have been a prime example of year after year they've missed out on things that they should have got. The top 4 was it last year, the year before? They definitely should have landed and didn't. So I think, how many years of stumbling can you at the final hurdle can you go, okay? And this season being kind of a very bog standard, so I don't know. I think if he lost 2 or 3 of the final 5 games, then I don't know. I like JP reckons.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Had the beginning of the season with the injuries that they had that not happened, I think that would still be true. I think he's going to have a grace period with this ownership because of what he's been able to do, winning an FA Cup and putting them in a position where they were in that conversation for top 4, despite what happened this season. I think he's got a bit of leeway. If they start the next season and they're not doing really well, I think that he could become 100% in the conversation. But I think he'll get through the summer. We've got Norwich, West Ham at 9:00 as well on Sunday. For either team, Norwich down already. West Ham, West Ham needed to stay in Europe. They want to play. They want to be in Europe next season. They want to finish 6th or 7th at the lowest. But Europa League is ideal for them. So they're going to be going hard on Norwich. And Norwich
slipping though. It seems crazy, and doesn't this just talk to how well Wolves must have been doing? I can't believe I'm about to say this. Wolves are only 3 points off 7th, which is where West Ham currently are. And I think that qualifies for the conference league.
7th is conference league, yeah.
Yeah. So 3 points. Wolves have got a game in hand. They're 3 points off with a slightly worse goal difference. And yet Wolves haven't won the last 3-4 games. So West Ham stuttering again.
Stuttering as well, yeah. They haven't been great in the league as well. And but I do think now that they've been knocked out of the Europa League, that is going to be like, okay, we need to make sure we're in it next season. So they're going to, galvanize and against the Norwich side, who has already gone down and they're on the golf course already. I
think so. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then we got Manchester City at 11:30 versus Newcastle. Yeah, this is at City. Should be relatively simple, but as we've seen from Newcastle, they've been very good lately. So not. Do you see them dropping points here? Do you see, because City, for Liverpool to stay in this conversation of a quadruple, City need to drop points. Is this a game where you could see that happening?
I think if the Champions League had gone differently, yes. But I think because of that they've just lost that, they're out of that. Like I think City are going to come back with that. To be a response. That smoke up their ass. Oh yeah, they're going to. And you expect to see an incredibly strong lineup in this game. I'd say. I am interested to see what they do, but as much as it pains me, Newcastle are playing well. They look like a nice team
good
now.
Football at the moment.
Joe Linton, who is, for me, I remember saying when I was always ripping on Wesley, this Brazilian that we had who had one leg shorter than the other, and everyone was going, "Oh, he's going to turn good." I'm like, "What are you seeing that I'm not?" But then the joke was, "Well, at least it's not Joe Linton for 40 million." And now Joe Linton has worked hard and has turned himself into this very constructive kind of attacking midfield.
He's like a 10 almost.
Hold up. He is, and he's JP. Fuck Newcastle. I'm with you on that one, JP. But I have to give him credit. I think they bought really well in January. There was all this talk of Mbappe, and that was obviously ridiculous. It was just the Saudi money and people getting excited. But they went and said, "Well, what can we actually get?" Chris Wood was a nice little purchase. He hasn't been great, but he's been good. But at the back, Dan Burns has been really good. Titanic.
Been very
Matty
good,
Target left back has been really good for them. I think it's a good team, so I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle turn up. But I think City will do 2 or 3.
it was at Newcastle, it would be different. I
Yes.
think if it was
Totally.
Newcastle at home, you might see a scenario where they'd have a chance of getting a result of some kind, maybe a draw. But I think City, like you said, coming off that loss, especially when it happened,
honestly,
brutal.
bar the Liverpool loss right last week, Newcastle have won their last 4 games. They beat Norwich 3-0, Crystal Palace 1-0, Leicester 2-1, and they beat Wolves 1-0. They've absolutely dominated.
They've dominated. They dominated against teams that they should be comfortably beating based on the form.
Well, Leicester,
other than
Wolves,
Leicester, Wolves have been shit lately. We just spoke about that.
They've been shit, but form, yes, but
from a form perspective, which is kind of what you got to go by. I think the where they are in the league and the overall record is different from what your last 4 or 5 games been, because that's how you're playing currently. Let's get on to the Liverpool Spurs game here. It's a big game. Big game.
Can we just say Paul with the graphics?
I know Paul's with the graphics have been fantastic. He's I know. Cheers, Paul. Liverpool, obviously, arguably the best team in the world at the moment. I think it's hard to argue that. Spurs form has been pretty up and down. We've had some, very good results against big teams and very poor results against teams we should be beating. Liverpool's style plays into Spurs style. So if you watch the first game earlier in the season, finished 2-2, very open, back and forth, a lot of fun to watch. I think we're going to see a lot of that again. I think it's at Anfield, so their 12th man there is going to make it very difficult for Spurs. When you look at this, what are your thoughts of what type of game you're going to see?
I think you're gonna get trounced. No, I know I don't. Honestly,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it'll be a tight game, man. I think Spurs will turn up. I think a lot of big characters will want to show that, the Harry Kanes of the world and stuff will want to show that they deserve it, the look in, and that they deserve to be still talked about. It's not all just Liverpool and City, because like Tottenham are there on an anomaly, aren't you? You really are. You look at your team sheet and you look at the players that make up like even the squad, and you go, this is a very good team. And especially with some of the guys you brought in, it's just
in certain positions, but there's certain positions that we're missing badly. Our wingback situation is not good.
Yeah, but you'll sort that out. And I think you could say the same argument is made for Arsenal. I think Arsenal signed a really good striker, 50-60 million, and another good midfielder. And I think Arsenal are really dangerous. I think they could be top 2, top 3 challenger next year. But Tottenham, where are we seeing weakness with Liverpool, Bri? We're just not, even when they.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I do. So just to let everybody know, hop on over to Tottenham on Tour. I did a preview with Azaz on that channel, which is our sister channel. Hop on over there and watch the preview. But we spoke about this. We spoke about sort of the weakness of Liverpool's high line, or the lack of weakness, because they have, I think, 50 more offside calls on them than anybody and team in the league, including City. So their high line works like to a T. But what we have at Spurs in Heung-min Son is the opposite of that. He has the least amount of offsides. So they play
the game so well.
Yeah, he plays. If he gets called offside, it's usually by inches. Like he's right on that last man. His runs are always spot on. And obviously Harry Kane can find him. We know that they've got the most goals combined in the history of the Premier League, and they keep doing it. So it hasn't ended. I think it's pretty obvious that that's going to be the weapon that Spurs are going to try to employ in this situation, is to counter on them as much as they can, and to be able to find that space in behind, because they leave a lot of it, and we have the players to get in there and to be clinical. The one thing we haven't been against Liverpool is clinical. We've been clinical all season, except for against Liverpool. Even in the 2-2 draw, we should have won that game. We hit the post twice, and I think there's a couple other like sitters that we missed. It was like, what the hell, man? Against Liverpool, we could have won that game. Should have won that game, arguably. But I'm happily nervous about it. It's going to be fun because I have no expectations. It's like it's Liverpool. We're going to get spanked, but if we don't, I get to enjoy that. So. Looking forward to a massive game. Matt, on the Liverpool side of it, we're going to get into the title race chat now, and this is another good segue to that. We've got, Liverpool need to win that game against Spurs to remain in the conversation about the title. They lose or they drop 2 points even against Spurs, and City get a win, then I think it's really going to be hard for them to come back into it.
I think, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, so that game is like arguably decides the title race to some extent, and arguably also could decide the top four. If you think about it, what might happen if Spurs somehow win it or get points out of it at all, it means that Spurs stay in that conversation for top four. And it also, if Liverpool win it, it means they stay. So yeah, so much this week in this game in particular is going to have a ton of effect on the
final
title race.
Weeks of the league is going to be just fantastic. And just while we're talking about, obviously, managers, what do you think about the whole, Guardiola again not winning a Champions League? It's like it continues to elude him. Like, is this a blip on his career? It's got to be, hasn't it? Really?
I mean, he's won it twice, so there's that. But I mean,
for sure. but at City,
I know,
like,
and of
where
course,
you spent over £1 billion, and you've got the most expensive team of all time. Maybe PSG actually are probably going to get close with the Mbappe deals and stuff now, but like, he's had everything given to him.
I think it is a blip. I think it's a blip.
Is.
Yeah, I honestly think I think he always ends up making weird decisions in games when he shouldn't. And even in the game the other night, it wasn't really that, like, because he did most of it right, but the players on the pitch that were there at the very end didn't do their jobs the way they needed to in order for them to stay in the conversation. It's a blip, but it's a blip of on a resume of a manager that has won everything a bunch of times. Do you see City ever sacking Pep Guardiola? Like, it's just not going to happen. A blip is a blip. I don't think he cares too much. It's this title race it's nice to have one finally. It's been a long time since we've had anything dramatic going into the end of the season. Where do you see it going? Who do you think is going to pull it out? I'd rather see Liverpool win it, just based on clubs and who they are and how they've done it. But what are your thoughts?
I think before the last game of the season there'll be a stumble. I'm going to call
from City.
That. I don't know. All I'm saying is there'll be a stumble. City, who've City got in the league? I'm just looking at some of the fixtures, and City have got fixtures. They've got Newcastle, Wolves, West Ham, and then Villa last game.
Yeah,
and then Liverpool.
I don't see them dropping points in any of those, other than maybe the Newcastle game.
Watch Villa do. Come on,
hilarious.
It would be absolutely hilarious. But Liverpool have got Tottenham, Villa.
Villa and both of them are. Well,
Villa
you guys could have a massive effect on who wins the title.
We won't. We'll absolutely shit the bed. We're going to be expect 4 or 5 million in both games.
Exactly.
And absolutely be hilarious. But and then the last 2 games for Southampton and Wolves. So I think City, if Liverpool get through this week with Tottenham, I think it's City's to win. It's City's to not lose, and Liverpool's to chase. I think it's. I really, I don't know. It's really tight. It's fantastic to watch. I don't see Liverpool dropping points the way they're playing. That's the only thing.
It's hard right?
Yeah, it is. And like, that's
having said that, and you watch the Villarreal game, they were really poor in that first half. If they play like that at all in that first half against Spurs, it'll be 3-0. Like, Spurs will destroy them if they play that bad. I don't see it happening. I think they responded really well.
Yeah, but you're a Spurs that can go Spursy, and
they can come back in the second half and it can
beat us
4-3. Anything can happen. But I'm just saying is that they aren't perfect. Like, Liverpool have recently shown in a few games, not just the Villarreal game, but that was the most recent, that they are capable of having brain farts and defensively not being totally there or totally aware. So if the right team comes up against them, and I think obviously it's the most obvious one, the Spurs game it's the one team that they're playing in their last 4 games that there's a chance for them to drop points. But man, I'm gonna go with Liverpool because I want Liverpool to win. If I'm gonna have to choose, I don't want to choose because I don't like either team. But based on how the teams are built, I spoke to Azaz about this yesterday. There's the way Liverpool have done what they've done with their recruitment and the systems they put in place with their management is I find it impressive. I'm impressed by them being in competition with an oil state-owned club of Man City, and still
fair point.
It's impressive that they've been able to do it that way. So credit to them for it. Love them or hate them. That's the nature of it. All right, well, let's get on to the final topic of the day, and this is the relegation battle. We've got in the bottom. These are the three. So we already know Watford and Norwich are gone. These are the three teams that are in this conversation. And of course, we talked about the points difference between them. You've got Burnley on 34 points. You've got Leeds on 34 points and Everton on 33 points. Is that correct? That's correct, right?
That is correct.
I'm just making sure that when Paul did the graphic, he did it from the right week, but it looks like he did. Burnley in good form. Leeds. What's the goal differential here? I'm trying to see. Okay, so minus 50.
So
look
Leeds
at Leeds.
Yeah, man. It's the type of football they play, isn't it? This is the negative side of their football, is that up and down, many goals leaves you in this situation. Like that literally could be the thing that kills them.
It could decide it,
because that isn't going to change. They're not going to improve on that. That is.
Way.
Look at that. They've on Everton at the close. There's 14 goals worse than Everton.
Yeah,
there's just no way they're going to catch that up. So if they don't, and Everton obviously with a game in hand, 2 points, one win gets them above both of them. I think Burnley are playing well. I think Burnley are going to pick up enough points. I think
Leeds are going
as much
down
as I
now.
can't believe it. I can't believe it, but I think Burnley are safe. And I think Everton still have that game in hand, which, it doesn't mean anything if they lose it. But I think Leeds are playing so poorly. I just don't see where the results are going to come from. And they've got Leeds' next two games, man, are Arsenal and Chelsea. And they'll lose both of those games. And then once they do that, who've Everton got? Let's have a look. Everton have got Leicester. They could win that. And then they've got Watford. They should win that. So Everton jumped them. Leeds are in there. Burnley, let's see, are Villa and Tottenham. So realistically could win.
That's difficult for Burnley too, though.
Burnley have got us twice, mate. Burnley have got
because they got a makeup game, right?
Tottenham and Villa the week after. It's ridiculous. So
yeah, that's tough for Burnley, man. I mean, Burnley got a result against us earlier in the season, and it'll be like Spurs. We'll go to Anfield and magically beat Liverpool and then lose to Burnley.
Of course.
It's exactly what's going to happen.
I bet Everton. If Everton can do what they did last week, if Everton can pull their socks up and play as a good team, Leicester are beatable. They are beatable, especially if Vardy isn't up to fitness, because I don't know what Vardy's status is.
Yeah, I mean, he came on against Spurs in the last 15, 20 minutes, and he was fit, so he was able to play. I mean, he didn't play the full 90, but I think
if he gets a full 90, then it's incredible that a
difference
guy
maker for
his
sure.
age is still a differential between the teams. But if Everton win this, Leeds will be in the bottom three, and I don't see them getting out of that for a while. And I think if that is the situation, then if they lose the next two games, which they probably will, and they're in the bottom three, have they got enough about them to pull out a result against, what have they got remaining after that? They'll have Brighton and Brentford. Not particularly easy games.
Not easy games.
Brighton maybe.
Even Brentford, not an easy game. Brentford up until getting spanked by United had played really well. They've been a difficult team to play against. Draw against Spurs. They won a couple games before that as well. Ericsson in form.
Brentford last game of the season, I would definitely not like that. I think they're in trouble, man. I think if I had to put money on it right now, I'd say Leeds.
Well, you have money to put on it, so put on it. I'm gonna do the same. I think Leeds is probably gonna be going down. I've been saying
my financial situation.
Well, I'm just assuming you got a $5 you could chuck down on.
I was going to put a Patreon at the end of this, please.
Oh yeah. Support the channel.
Yeah.
Support. We'll just make it support Luke.
We should do that. We should put it on the channel, and we'll do a whip round. And people can donate, and we'll put it on, and we'll donate it to charity. Maybe that's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. You gonna organize that, Luke, or?
No, probably not.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. All right. Well, that does it for our show today. It was a nice whip through with just you and I doing it, so it was nice and simple. But
just before we sign off, very quickly, just touching on the point. Obviously, Norwich relegated. You might need to bring it up. Is there anyone on that Norwich team that you obviously probably Tottenham, probably not, but is there anyone that you can see being likely to move around, or the only
Norwich
person that jumps out to me?
Yeah, maybe
Billy Gilmore.
I was just gonna say Billy Gilmore would be the only one. I think the manager is probably somebody that a team who is looking for somebody like maybe who's just not coming into the Premier League, but who's in the lower half of the table looking to change managers. Maybe Watford bring him in and try to come back up.
All I will say is that,
do they have anybody else? I mean, who else is on that team? I have Timo Pukki.
Well, Milo Rashica was the guy who Villa were linked with for, honestly, man, it felt like every week there was a different report, and apparently I think it was Werder Bremen he went from. He signed for Norwich. I was like, wow. And apparently when it was talking, the rumors were that he didn't go to Villa because he didn't want to go to a team and face a relegation battle. And if that comes out to be true, it's so sweet. It's so sweet to see.
It is kind of sweet because he ends up getting relegated. Yeah, that's funny.
Straight.
Bye.
Yeah. Max Aaron's.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, Max Aaron's was on our radar for a while as a right wing back. He's a good player,
and he's only young. He's only 22. He's
still pretty young. Yeah. That's a good shout. Max Aaron's. I would say yes. His stock has kind of dropped because he plays for Norwich and they're going and they're getting relegated. I think in a better team, he's a good player. You know, like I said, Spurs were looking at him a couple seasons ago, and I was like, yeah, he looks solid, good, proper right wing back. So, but other than that, there's not much there. Do they come back up? Do you think Norwich are they gonna bounce back?
They're a yo-yo. I think they'll keep a number of their players. I think if Tim Krul is wanting to do another, he's only 34 actually. He'll probably do another season.
He's got a few more seasons. Goalies go to like 40.
Yeah, Rashika, Pookie is still going to be there. Pookie's getting old, man. Pookie's 32. He's I say as a 33-year-old.
He'll play well. He'll play well in the championship though. If they'll
Norwich have got a couple of good keepers. They've got Angus Gunn is there, and he's only 26. He's a good keeper. Where was he? Was he at Southampton before this?
Was he? I don't know anything.
I can't remember where he was, but he's a decent keeper. So I'm surprised to see like him kind of dealing with this crap. But I don't know. Yeah, I think outside of that, I'm looking at the team sheet in front of me, and there's maybe that the lad who scored a little bit, Joshua Sargent, the US forward. He's 22. He picked up a number of goals for them. He looks half decent, but yeah, realistically, you can kind of see why they went down, can't you?
Yeah, there's not much in that team. They're shit, and it suits them to be down in the championship. All right. On that note, just as you see around, says support the channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, like and subscribe if you can. That would be wonderful. A lot of people watch the show but don't necessarily subscribe. Please subscribe. It helps us out. It helps us do the work. These graphics you see that Paul makes, he wants to get paid for it. We don't have 1,000 subscribers yet, so get in there and smash that button.
Help Paul.
Help Paul. That's what we're here for. It's like everybody help Paul. We'll be back.
Should be our hashtag.
We'll be back next week, probably on a regular time. Normally we do it on a Tuesday. A little bit more relevant to the previous weekend. But we ran into some busyness last week and a half. We'll get it back. So looking forward to that. Luke, it's been a pleasure doing this with you, buddy. And
you too, man.
We will
see you in a week.
Yeah, we'll see you in a week. Exactly. Well, we'll see you Monday or Tuesday, maybe. Oh, you're gonna be back in Toronto soon, right?
I'll be back Wednesday. Back Wednesday, and then I'll be there for 10 days. So maybe we can do an in-person podcast.
I was just wondering about that. Yeah, maybe we can get together and do it. Let's
get some beers.
Let's put that in the chat, and we'll see if we can make it happen, because that'd be a ton of fun for sure.
All right,
brother.
Great pleasure.
Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you again soon. Have a good one.
See you now.